Hi, and thanks for joining our webinar today. We're going to be talking about messaging strategies for the current COVID pandemic, specifically as it applies to business continuity, what we're seeing as some of the great and best practices out there, and how to get started and share some of the resources that we've been creating to help businesses like yours maintain their continuity. This webinar is in response to the wide-ranging limitations and changes that have been impacting businesses everywhere, and the key trade-offs that we are all having to make. Anything from social distancing to limitations to moving to digital delivery and adapting to staff working from home, or in some of the really extreme cases, the decision to pause trading or close. And with that full range of potentials, business continuity can mean many different things. It's a really, really broad term. It could mean the local florist converting to delivery only, or it could be that wider scale mobilisation of a staff to work from home, or the changing of an entire student body to do remote learning. What we're going to cover off in this webinar is to talk about some of those really broad topics so that you can see how they could apply to your business, but more importantly, how you can tap into our team to give you a hand. We're going to keep this webinar quite short today. The businesses that we have been talking to are telling us that their communication methods have been changing so rapidly that they do barely have time to breathe. So we want to keep this one nice, short and sweet, and about the length of a coffee break. Let's get into it. I'm Rachel, and I work as part of Message Media's marketing team. And today with me, I've got Julian, who works as part of our product team.
Hi guys, my name is Julian and I'm a product manager here at Message Media. My focus is to deliver an awesome product experience for our key customers.
We're part of Message Media's specific response team that are helping our customers at this time to get the right message into their customers' hands fast, because we know that that's what is of most vital importance. One of the things that we are at Message Media is we're specialists in messaging, and in particular working with businesses of all size to build the messaging solutions that meet their specific and unique needs. And it's no surprise that messaging is an intrinsic part of many businesses' needs. When a communication needs to be sent and you know that it needs to be read, making sure that it's received on the device that barely leaves our hands is the best way to do it. A couple of really top line quick stats about messaging is that we know that messaging, the SMS are read 98% of the time, and over 90% are read within 90 seconds. Further, our research shows us that it's a communication method that your customers, your staff and your community wants. If you want to know a bit more about the sorts of customers that we work with, you can take a look at our case study library to see the types of businesses we work with. But at a really basic level, if you've ever received a text message to remind you about a dentist appointment, or a great offer on wine delivery, or confirmation that you've kicked off a payment subscription, there's a good chance it's come from us. And over the past few weeks, we've actually seen our business customers really rapidly adopt SMS for their communication needs. In fact, we've recently been working with businesses like Easy Debit, Lendlease, and Toll Solutions to ensure that they can send timely, critical SMS to their customers and their staff really easily. And we'll go through a few of those examples a bit later on. And I guess what we can say is that we're seeing a really unprecedented health situation with COVID. It's very dynamic, and we all struggle with understanding those full implications to ourselves, our families, but more importantly, our businesses. I'd like to assure you that we are gearing up and focused on supporting you in what's undoubtedly a really significant change for your business. Those changes will vary dramatically from business to business. And one thing we are understanding is that it will pose many different situations and unforeseen things. Our mindset as this happens is that we want you to know that we're standing beside you to help you with what you need to communicate to your staff, your teams, your customers, both new and existing, whatever it is that you need, because that is fundamental to what we're focused on. We're really fortunate as a global software business that by our very nature of being in the cloud, we're exceptionally well set up to operate remotely, and we're already doing so. And with that, we will have the confidence to continue to support you to access the resources, the material, but more importantly, the experts who are really well versed in giving people like you a hand to get what they need done. We are the messaging specialists and we are here to help. So as part of that, we have created a set of tailored resources, obviously to deal with the evolving situation, and these resources will grow. My ask of you is that if there are things that you need, information that you'd like us to share with you, or if you'd like a bit of advice on what other organisations or businesses are doing, simply let us know and the team can give you a hand and we can help provide that for you or create more resources for you to give you a hand. With that, what I would say is if you're not already sending text messages to your customers, your client or your staff base now is the time. And we'll have a look at what we're already seeing. We're seeing everything from health broadcasts from MPs, access to key information to information hubs to make sure the most accurate information is at hand and shared, staff awareness of how to access resources through conference calls, and then also a bit more sadly, the suspension of businesses and how to support those businesses to get back on track. What we've got on screen at the moment are some of the examples of what we've really appreciated as great messages to help support staff, customers, and the community. The first one we have is a check-in for service providers to make sure that their mobile workforce is going to be safe when they do an on-site visit. The next one is a great way of showing how two-way communications from a head office to a remote workforce can help make sure that people are both engaged but also have access to the right information in easily chunkable ways. The next one is something where a financial services company is just making sure that their client base is informed and up to date with the latest government updates and what it might mean for their own personal financial situation. We've got telehealth moving into the forefront where you can actually do, say, psychology appointments, not in a face-to-face environment, but via teleconferencing. And then also some really clever ways that pharmacies are moving their physical opportunities into digital delivery and app-like experiences. And this is just the start of what you can start imagining people can do. You can take a whole range of different ways that you can look at this, from the most recent updates to childcare, from how you can make sure that people have access to new ways of working, even things like moving from a physical hospitality business to an online delivery service. And with these changing situations, it's about making sure that your staff, your customer base are constantly updated. We wanted to share these because these are the great communicators that ensure the right message with the most accurate information is shared at the right time. And these are customers that know how to do it, and we would like to share those best practices with you. So at this point in time, I'm going to hand across to Julian, who'll take you through the tools and the resources that are available to accomplish great messaging like this too.
Thanks, Rachel. As we've seen from these examples, organizations of all types are using a wide range of messaging use cases to communicate with their staff and customers. It's been great to be able to help such a wide range of companies in these past few weeks. As Rachel pointed out at the start of the webinar as well, today is about sharing best practices within your industry and to help you guys prepare to send messages. Now, a lot of people are already familiar with sending SMS messages. However, because of COVID-19, a lot of businesses are now sending messages that are outside the scope of their normal use case. What we want to do is make sure that you've got everything that you need to think ahead and be able to prepare yourselves to send communications quickly, effectively, and have the tools to manage the inbound messages as well. So that's why we've put together a checklist to help with that. You'll see on the screen, this checklist is somewhat universal. We've seen businesses sending messages across a wide range of industries from health, education, finance, government, event management, or small businesses, you name it. We've seen them have the same need of preparing and sending messages across all sorts of use cases, and themes that we've been seeing are around staff safety, appointments, hygiene guidelines, social distancing tips, company statements, schools moving to remote learning, etc. This checklist is designed to help anyone in any situation to send messages no matter what industry or what scenario they're facing. So we'll run through them, and hopefully by the end you'll have feel a bit more prepared to move forward. So the first step is one of the most important, and that's data preparation. That is making sure that you've got the correct contact information for your recipients. Now, whether that's internal staff or schools contacting parents, whether it's GPs contacting patients, it's essential to make sure that your data is accurate and the numbers are stored in the correct format. The second step is preparing your message. That's where you can have the highest impact by making sure that the message is personalized, recipients know who the sender is, and recipients can engage with the content by replying or following a link. You might want to turn on additional features here, such as picture messages or short trackable links. It's also a good opportunity to look at templates to keep the messages consistent across sends, and also to refer to local legislation around opt-out requirements. The third step is about making sure everything is in place to allow for larger sends. This could mean setting up automation so that messages are actioned immediately, confirming credit limits if the account is prepaid, or increasing your plan allowance if the account is postpaid. As a precaution, we also advise our customers to create a seed list of test numbers. This way, before the big broadcast goes out, you can test that everything is working as planned. Finally, we're ready to send. There's a couple of additional features that can be beneficial to your broadcast. For example, let's say you're sending a request for information and you expect a lot of inbound messages. Staggering your send over a couple of hours can give you and your team the time to respond to the inbound messages. For broadcasts that cover multiple time zones, you can also schedule different sends so that each recipient receives the message at the best possible time. Now that we have a good idea of how to prepare for a broadcast, I'm going to give you some thought on best practices for your message structure. Across all of our customers, we see many different structures, and there's a common methodology that applies to all messages. We've broken it down here to give a clear overview. We start with the first line, "Hi John." That indicates that the sender knows who the recipient is. Even though this is a very personal greeting, it helps separate your message from others. We know it's not always possible to be personal, but if you can, be personal. Then onto the actual message content. Be clear, be concise, ration your wording, don't use 5 words when one will do, especially in times like these when there is an emergency situation, your recipient are concerned and want information. Number 3, that's an example of the message media link shortener at work. You'll see on the right-hand side, that's how the message appears on a phone. The link length is limited, so it doesn't take up the whole message, and it's also unique to each recipient. Then for number 4, you'll see the contact number in the format that comes through as a link on the smartphone. When sending contact information, make sure you're providing it in a format that can be tapped and dialed from the message. This is especially important if you're sending messages internationally. Lastly, it's important in the sign-off to clearly identify who you are. This helps build trust if you've never messaged that person before. For this webinar, we want to show you how this works in our web portal and give you some tips. We'll cover the 5 following topics: importing your contacts, sending your messages, taking control of your inbox, measuring recipient engagement, and user account management. On the left side of the screen, there will be a video showing how to navigate the different parts of the web platform. And the top right of the screen is a link to our support portal, where you can find these videos with the narration. So as we said previously, it's important to know your recipients and be personal when you can. That's why when importing contacts, we encourage your customers to add names and other information relevant to the message. For example, we have many customers include unique reference numbers in their sends. These can be used to facilitate a mobile payment, check you in faster when going for your appointment, or collect your food delivery order. When your focus spans multiple time zones or countries, we recommend adding numbers into the platform with the country code. You can import contacts into the platform using CSV files or Excel spreadsheets. Each column can then be mapped to specific contact fields. The next step is organizing your contacts. That means that you've thought ahead to how you're going to be communicating with your wider audience. For example, if you're sending to different groups in different states or divisions, then the message needs to be tailored specifically. For example, say you're sending interstate and you want to include the state government health website. Then it's important that you set up different contact groups so that each group receives the correct link. This way, your recipients receive information that's relevant to their area or at a time that's convenient for them. When preparing to send emergency communications, there's a simple technique that can give you confidence that your list of recipients is 100% accurate. We actually did this ourselves at Message Media a few weeks ago to make sure we had the contact details on hand for all 250 employees across Australia, New Zealand, United Kingdom, and the United States were correct. We did this by sending out a test broadcast to everyone and asking for a reply back with their full name. Then, using the data export functions of the web portal, we compared what was sent versus what was received. After that, we follow up with those that hadn't responded or didn't match up with the input data. This way, we made sure that we actually have the correct information for everyone. It's a very effective way of making sure your data is accurate. If you haven't taken the measures to audit your list, we strongly recommend doing that first. Now, on to sending your message. There are several ways to do this in the web product. The most common way is to break the process down into 3 steps. 1, prepare your content in advance. 2, test by sending to a seed list. And 3, scheduling the send. A great way to prepare your content is to use templates. They also help keep consistency across multiple sends. You can add personalization fields in each template so that if you've uploaded, let's say, your first name, then that information will get merged in your message content at the time of send. You can also set up a default message template, which you can use as a signature block. That way you don't have to worry about always signing off in your message. Do keep in mind the needs of your different contact groups or segments and prepare different message content as needed. Make sure you use the right language too, as regional differences can sometimes have a big impact. For example, one of our customers sends the same content in either French or English, depending on where the recipient lives. If you use links in your message, make sure they're not too long as to distract from the rest of your content. Our gateway has a built-in optional link shortener. We'll see later how it can be useful to measure the success of your broadcast and recipient engagement. Before the big send, set up several test numbers as your seed list. This can include your own personal mobile and also some of your colleagues. Sending a test message can protect you from mistakes. This way you can validate that your message content is coming through accurately on the phone. If you include a telephone number or an email address, you want to make sure that those can be clicked easily. If you set up automations, you can verify that the end-to-end flow is working correctly. We'll also need to verify your account limits. If you're sending to a larger number of recipients than usual, then if your account is prepaid, make sure you have enough balance so that you don't run out of credit during the send. For postpaid plans, our support team can check your account and make sure that you have the right credit limit for your needs. Once your message goes out, there's a few things you may want to do. The first one is taking control of your inbox. If you've chosen to send from a number pool or a dedicated number, then your recipients will be able to reply to your message. You'll commonly see a message such as reply stop to opt out. That's an example of replying to a business message. However, more and more organizations are using business messaging for two-way communications with their customers, members, staff, and citizens. That's because SMS is universal, and all smartphones support it, regardless of the brand, version, or even carrier. We see companies using the inbox to take sales order, distribute and confirm rosters, set appointments, send prescription scripts, and even receive photos of damaged items. The inbox is truly a flexible tool, and you also have the ability to close off conversations in the inbox. This makes it easier when multiple users are interacting in the same account. It can become a bit like a service help desk sometimes. It's good to note that if you expect a response and you're sending to a large number of people, then you probably want to stagger your send over a couple of hours so that you don't receive a flood of messages all at once. In the new message page, you can specify over how many hours you want your broadcast to send. That's a really useful feature. Increasingly, our customers are interested in how their broadcast performed. The first focus is they want to know how many recipients received the message. That's easy to do by navigating to the broadcast report and looking at how many messages were delivered. Once a message is sent, most carriers will send us a reply when the SMS is delivered on the handset. In our world, that's called a delivery receipt. We also get different statuses from the carriers if the number has been disconnected or is not in range. For example, if your recipients have changed SIM cards, then this kind of status can appear. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that the message was read or engaged with. That's why we developed short trackable links as a way to measure each recipient's interaction with the content. By creating a unique link to each recipient, our systems can give you an overview of who in your recipient list is most engaged. Our reporting system is flexible too. We can filter by different broadcasts, look at different tabs, export a CSV report to your email, and so on. Some large customers have even set up automations with us to retry messages. If the first one was not delivered, then they send the same content to the recipient's email address. Multiple channel messaging is a very effective way to get your message across. One last focus area for today is user account management. We know that organizations can be structured in all sorts of ways. And when you have important communications that need to be sent out, then it's critical that your team is prepared. For small organizations, we often see these customers setting up a flat structure, where you'll see a single account and many users. That works well for a large majority of our customers. Then we see larger organizations that set up different sub-accounts for each department or division. Each sub-account would have a set of users configured to, and this allows messages and templates and reports to be shared with just the right people. Another structure that we see in healthcare is one account per user. This allows you to maintain message confidentiality across the people in your team. You can also maintain the same style of communications by sharing templates from the parent account to each sub-account. Having a set of planned communication templates for different scenarios is a great time saver. Think of your colleagues, managers, or partners who needs to have access to the platform, who needs to be a user, and who needs to be an administrator. In this webinar, we won't have time to cover all of the finer points of the platform. So if you're unsure of how to structure your account, we invite you to reach out and one of our support staff will be happy to help. One last thing. So we put together a COVID-19 specific resource hub, which is available on our website. The support site is support.messagemedia.com. And there you'll see quite clearly there is a COVID-19 category. You'll have an expanded version of the checklist, which includes links to additional support documents that show you how to use the various features and functions. We also have all of our contact numbers and email if you need. We have a text and support number as well in Australia. So in Australia, you can text the word support to +61 463 278 682, or in North America, text support to +1 844 442 5682, and then you'll receive a response that gives you 4 options. Responding to any of those options will result in additional information being sent to you. It's also a good example of how automations work, so we recommend that you give this a shot and see what we have to offer. That's a summary of our best practices and web portal tips. Not necessarily just for emergency communications, it applies to a wide range of scenarios. We also have templates in the resource hub, which are tailored to specific use cases. For example, health organizations contacting patients, or sending out appointment times, schools contacting parents, or businesses announcing temporary closures or changes in services. So I hope all of this information is useful, and over to you now, Rachel.
Fantastic. Thanks heaps for that, Julian. Look, more than anything, we just really want to share with you that we are here to give you guys a hand. Whether you're an existing or a new customer to Message Media, our team are ready to give you a hand with whatever it is that you need help with. You have access to our resource hubs and all of the information that we have there. And if you are in hospitality, we have got a special offer going for 2 months free messaging. Simply take a look at our website or our support site to find out more information there. So finally, please, I hope you stay safe at this time. We'll be sending through a follow-up email with access to the resources and the templates, and invite you again to reach out to the team. Thank you very much.